Mesinnya udah diinin? Nyalain?
Oh, nyalain ya?
Hah?
Kakinya boleh. Nggak juga.
Cuma nanti dibilang aja para pekerja di sana aja
Oke. Pegel Mbak Yi, jadi gerak-gerak dulu vertikal itu. Keren.
All crew, stand by. Lighting, stand by. Cameraman, stand by. And 3, 2, 1.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Om Swastiastu, Shalom, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. We are currently in a room that implements health protocols. Please allow us to remove our face mask. Attention please. International webinar on gastronomy will immediately begin. To audiences, please kindly mute your audio throughout the ceremony. Your cooperation is highly appreciated. Honorable invited guests, my name is Rina Kurniawati and my colleague Arvino Kautsar Eka Putra, the Master of Ceremony of this webinar. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. From the virtual room, we would like to welcome you to International Gastronomy Webinar, Building Gastronomy Tourism to Sustain Tourism and Creative Economy during the COVID-19 pandemic era, practitioners and academicians' perspectives.
The Honorable Minister of Cooperative, Small and Medium Enterprises of the Republic of Indonesia, His Excellency Mr. Teten Mas Duki, that is represented by the Director of Marketing Service, Mr. Leonard Theo Sabrata, Director of Sahid Polytechnic Jakarta, Ms. Neni Wahyuni, Bachelor of Economic, Magister Management, and the Management of Sahid Polytechnic, Polytechnic Sahid Jakarta Representative, Doctoral Candidate Suci Sandi Wahyudi.
Indonesia Gastronomy Community Representative, Ms. Ria Musyawan. The U.S. Representative, Dr. Wigiono Yono Purnomo and Dr. Marcela Tigarcio. Malaysia Representative, Dr. Alice Moniar. South Korea Representative, Dr. Nimrod M. Carpio. Turkey Representative, Dr. Hussein Pamukcu.
Australia Representative, Dr. Hera Oktadiana, Certified Hospitality Educator. Uzbekistan Representative, Mr. Temur Mirzaev. India Representative, Dr. Anukrati Sharma. Dr. Asep Parantika as moderator of this webinar and all invited guests of this webinar.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin this webinar, let us sing together Indonesia National Anthem, Indonesia Raya.
Bangsa dan tanah
Ladies and gentlemen, let us hear the Director of Sahid Polytechnic Jakarta, Ms. Neni Wahyuni, Bachelor of Economic, Magister Management, to deliver the opening remarks.
Welcome to Sahid Polytechnic Gastronomy International webinar. First of all, we would like to express our highest appreciation to Mr. Teten Masduki, Minister of Cooperatives and Micro, Small, and Medium Enterprises, for taking the time to attend and deliver a keynote speech. We would also like to express our appreciation and gratitude for the support of practitioners and academicians in the gastronomy and culinary field who are present in this webinar. Mrs. Ria Musiawan as the President of Indonesia Gastronomy Community. Mr. Dr. Widjono Yono Purnomo from Yono's Restaurant Albany, New York, USA. Mrs. Marcella Garces, PhD from Siena College in Laudenville, New York, USA. Mrs. Alice Moknat, PhD from Taylor's University, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Mr. Nimrod Karpio, PhD from Jeonju University, South Korea. Mr. Dr. Hussein Pamukcu from Afyon Kocatepe University, Turkey. Mrs. Hera Oktiana, PhD from James Cook University, Australia. Mr. Temur Mirzayev from Ministry of Tourism and Sport, Uzbekistan. Mr. Anukreti Sarma, PhD from University of Kota Rajasthan, India. We are proud to host the first international gastronomic webinar and delighted to receive tremendous support from various practitioners and academicians in the culinary and gastronomy field will share their insight in this webinar. We have guest speakers from 7 countries participating in this webinar, and the total number more than 500 participants. Today's webinar topic is based on current issues facing tourism and as an effort to support tourism adaptation and resilience. The main topic for this webinar is building gastronomic tourism to sustain tourism and creative economic in the COVID-19 pandemic era. Gastronomy tourism practitioners and academician perspective. Gastronomy tourism has become a worldwide tourist attraction. As an archipelagic country, Indonesia has a huge gastronomic tourism potential with at least more than 3,000 kinds of traditional culinary with different characteristics. Realizing the potential that Indonesia has, since 2012, Sahid Polytechnic Jakarta has established Gastronomy Study Center called ICGC. ICGC is a place to learn Indonesian gastronomy and globalize Indonesia food to the international world. One of the contributions provided by the ICGC is to revive traditional Indonesian food. In 2030, as many as more than 500 types of processed food made of tubers are recorded by Indonesia World Record Museum. ICGC will be developed and continue to support Sahid Polytechnic as one of the vocational-based universities. This is realized by establishing a culinary arts study program that is expected to create professionals and entrepreneurs in the development of gastronomy in Indonesia. With the COVID-19 pandemic, tourism is a heavy talk and it becomes a challenge for the culinary industry to develop. Therefore, we gather several academics and practitioners who are experts in the gastronomy tourism and micro, small, and medium enterprises to discuss this challenge and explore creative ideas in growing the potential of tourism development and creative economy and improving the quality of tourism in the COVID-19 pandemic era. Lastly, we would like to thank all parties for the cooperation and participation in this event. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Ms. Neni Wahyuni, for the opening remarks.
We would like to invite the Director of Marketing Services, Ministry of Cooperatives, Small and Medium Enterprises of Indonesia, Mr. Leonard Theo Sabrata. To Mr. Leonard Theo Sabrata, the time is yours.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting. And first of all, I would like to extend my sincere apologies from the minister that he could not attend the event. And I would like to represent him in this case to deliver some of the key message that he would like to extend to all of you, and also send regards to Polytechnic Sahid. Thank you for inviting, and also to all the distinguished guests, that's the speakers of today, and also the audience. First of all, perhaps I'd like to introduce myself, and excuse me for the virtual background. Right now, as a matter of fact, I'm in Bali, working on establishing some of the initiatives that comes from the ministry, and also trying to push the tourism so they can come back in a new way, and providing new initiatives that can be stronger post-pandemic. And first of all, there's a few things that I would like to highlight about the MSME in Indonesia, perhaps a general overview of the national MSME, and also a general view of the gastronomy SMME in Indonesia, some of the key messages about how to digitalize the sector to survive, and also some of the government regulations and programs during the pandemic that have been launched and also will be launched to support MSME. And lastly, some of tips that perhaps strategies to promote that you guys can do during the pandemic. So as an overview, perhaps some of you already know, but MSME Indonesia is truly the backbone of this country, comprising and contributing more than 61% of the total PDB, or the gross GDP of Indonesia. And as we all know as well, the growth, to push the growth, there's a very small ratio that we need to push compared to our neighboring countries such as Singapore, Thailand, Malaysia, and Japan, and South Korea, that has a ratio of MSME that has access to finance compared to our neighboring countries. We're still pretty small, around 18 to 20% that has access to finance from the banking sector. And I think this is something that we can also push so that MSME can grow to a different level. And also there's a target that MSME eventually will contribute a lot to the export sector. By 2024, the target is 17.6%. And to do that, there's few things that we will have to do. One of them is we have to strengthen the database, and this is something that the ministry and also SMESCO is doing by doing a lot of onboarding program so that the MSME can be digitalized. And also there's a strengthened program in terms of the human capitals, and also product development. And lastly, it's the most basic fundamental things that we have to push is the easy access to finance, and therefore our sister company and also the ministry itself is doing a lot of program in terms of financing the MSME. Perhaps if I talk about the gastronomy sector, there's few things that is linked a lot to the tourism sector, which is right now is feeling the pressure of the pandemic, and because of the PPKM and all the lockdown issues is definitely contributing to a lot of the problem areas that are appearing right now. But I think the growth, it's still there. So despite the pandemic issues, there's still growth and successes within the F&B sector that perhaps can be highlighted. And I also want to highlight that the success of the culinary business and MSME is actually a big sector within the MSME, so that we need to put a lot of focus into the sector so that it will be growing even more. And perhaps some of the things that we can do, as I would like to highlight, that we need to go digital and accelerate the digital onboarding of the sector so that we can take advantage of a lot of the things that are in progress and also in process in terms of the retail industry that is changing right now because of the pandemic. Lastly, perhaps I would like also to give you a little bit of outlook of what SMESCO is doing in terms of growing the sector. We have few programs that we can highlight. There is 4 types of future SME that we are developing in our workshop that we call SMESCO Labo, which is a lab or perhaps a think tank that can give birth to initiatives that eventually will be democratized as a modules that can be implemented throughout the Indonesia and growing the sector for export in the future. One of them is actually our food lab, and our food lab is responsible to grow within the spices and also the potentials of Indonesian agro-based businesses that has a future narrative, that has a local narrative, and also the strength of our culinary industry is going to be one of the key sector that we want to push in the future. I also would like to highlight some of the programs and regulations that has been implemented during the SMEs, during the pandemic, I'm sorry. And one of them is actually the issuance of Presidential Decree number 12 of 2021 concerning amendments about raising the ceiling of the procurement to medium and small enterprise so that it can be absorbed by the government. And we also encourage entrepreneurs to start their business through, there's a lot of regulation in terms of ease of doing business and also issuance of business licensing. This is also one of the things that was implemented during the pandemic, and also access to capital. The government has launched an umbrella program that is namely PEN, which is in Indonesia is in English, I'm sorry, National Economic Recovery Program, which right now it has allocated amounts up to 123.4 trillion rupiah, which in December 2020, the fund has been distributed through various programs and also social assistance policies for the pandemic. And this fund is actually allocated to ensure the businesses can keep activity and also keep running their sectors. One of the highlights that has been very successful is actually run by the Ministry of Cooperative and also SME. It's the one that is called BPUM, or Banpres, the President's Micro Business Productive Aid. One of the programs that is launched early 2020 with an allocated budget of 28.8 trillion. And this program was a working capital grant for 12 million micro entrepreneurs throughout Indonesia. And we gladly report to the public that the program has been 100% distributed and also has gained positive responses. Most recently, in May 2021, the program has been prolonged and also been re-energized with 99.4%, with a turnover of around 300 million. These businesses are experiencing increase in income around 40% after the disbursement of the aid. And these are some of the key highlights that the ministry is doing. And also various programs such as BEPOM and also certification, the marketing permits, and also halal certification. There are free of charge or at no cost. These are some of the programs that we are trying to push because these are some of the key fundamentals to push MSME to the future. Perhaps last, before I finish, there are strategies that perhaps can be implemented to promote gastronomy during the pandemic. For sure, you have to be formalized through the establishment of cooperatives. This is one of the key highlights in Indonesia that can be done because corporate is smaller. They can be joined into a cooperative so that they can be an off-taker of smaller businesses and also increase quality and also production capacity. And it's also very important to be digitally connected. Businesses are able to transform their business because it is more proven to be more resilient during the pandemic. Number one, I think the digital marketing of F&B, it's a super fundamental needs right now. Specifically in certain region, it's hyper-local activities with the local e-commerces and such are proven to be very effective during the pandemic. And I think those are some of the key messages that the minister would like to extend to the audience and also to the distinguished speakers tonight. And I hope these information are valuable and can gain insights to all of you and also to strengthen the MSME position during this pandemic. Thank you very much. And again, my apologies for some of the technical backgrounds of the because of the location. But thank you and good night from Bali. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Leonard Teosabrata, for the speech.
As a token of appreciation, we would like to give a certificate to Mr. Leonard Teosabrata, the Director of Marketing Service of Ministry of Cooperative Small and Medium Enterprises, and also to take a picture together with the audiences. Please give applause to Mr. Leonard Teosabrata.
Honorable invited guests, next is presentations from the panel guest speakers. Please kindly stay at the Zoom meeting. This session will be guided by Dr. Asep Parantika as the moderator. To Dr. Asep Parantika, the time is yours.
I would like to welcome you to International Gastronomy Webinar, Building Gastronomic Tourism to Sustain Tourism and Creative Economy during COVID-19 Pandemic Era, Practitioner and Academician Perspective, hosted by Sahid Politeknik Jakarta, Indonesia. My name is Asep Parantika, lecturer of Polytechnic Sahid. It is an honor to be a moderator for today's session. Tourism is growing rapidly into untourism that contribute greatly to the economy. Tourist motivation to visit different destinations has an impact to the development of tourist attraction. Tourist destination offer various attractions to meet the needs of tourists. In 2020, UNWTO issued a global report, Food Tourism, which explained gastronomic tourism is an emerging phenomenon that is being developed as a new tourist product due inter alia. Over a third of tourist spending is devoted to food. Therefore, the cuisine of destination is an aspect of utmost importance in the quality of holiday experience. So it is not surprising that UNWTO placed gastronomic tourism as one of the most dynamic segments in the global tourism. Unfortunately, culinary tourism is more popular than gastronomic tourism in Indonesia, although it has significant potential to be developed into main attraction, which can increase community participation, especially small and medium enterprise. However, the emergence of COVID-19 has made the tourism and small medium enterprise sector experiencing a difficult period. So it has big challenge for culinary industry in its promotional and food safety effort and the integration of technology to prepare strong small medium enterprise in the pandemic era. Ladies and gentlemen, we have 10 speakers from 9 countries represented: Indonesia, United States, Malaysia, South Korea, Turkey, Australia, Uzbekistan, and India. It is an honor for us to have all of you in this webinar. The total number of participants in this webinar is more than 800 through Zoom meeting, YouTube, and Instagram, come from several countries. Ladies and gentlemen, the first speaker is Mrs. Ria Musiawan from Indonesian Gastronomy Association. Good evening, Mrs. Ria. How are you? Oh.
Good evening, Mr. Asep. Very well, thank you.
Thank you. She is gastronom and food enthusiasm. She is also the disseminator of the tea culture, especially for Indonesian. She was chosen as Chairman Indonesian Gastronomy Community for 2020 to 2023. She is very active. Some activity related with gastronomy and other organizations, such as promoting Indonesian tea as part of gastronomy cultural hospitality, which is a special coverage of Indonesia gastronomy, in addition to coffee. Cabinet Secretary to Lions Club International, and she wrote an etiquette book, Small Things That Matter, in 2014. Mrs. Ria, you have 10 minutes to present your presentation with title Indonesia Gastronomy Tourism Potential During the Corona Pandemic. Time is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Asep. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everyone. Further, I want to convey my deepest gratitude to Ibu Neni Wahyuni, also the Sahid Polytechnic, distinguished speakers, and all audience. Truly, thank you for giving me the chance in presenting to you all the Indonesia's gastronomy tourism potential during the corona pandemic. First of all, I want to briefly introduce Indonesian Gastronomy Community, or IGC. It is a non-profit organization that has a vision as the preserver of the culture of Indonesian food and beverages to advance our nation. Presently, we are faced with a global pandemic where many fields face with setbacks, especially in the tourism field, which greatly affect gastronomy-related industries such as restaurants and hotels. The good news is the government seeks to revitalize the tourism industry, and based on what I observed so far, gastronomy will be one of the keys to stimulate economic development, especially during times such as now, where our source of enjoyment are limited. Yes, next please. Gastronomy is the study of food and culture. It encompasses the art of good eating that not only places taste and food presentation as a primary focus, but its whole story, the history, norms, symbols, ethics, and geographical landscape. There is more to gastronomy than just food. It reflects the culture, heritage, traditions, and sense of community of different peoples. It is a way of promoting understanding among different cultures and of bringing people and traditions closer together. Indonesian gastronomy is acculturated from several countries, namely India, the Middle East, China, and European nations such as the Portuguese, Spanish, and the Netherlands. Next, please. Gastronomy tourism is defined as the international pursuit of appealing, authentic, memorable culinary experiences of all kinds. Hall and Sharples in 2003. While the United Nations World Tourism, UNWTO, defines it as a type of tourism activity characterized by the activities while traveling, these include visits to major and secondary food producers, food festival and events, farmers market, cooking events and food demonstrations, and other culinary quality events and activities. Today, I will deliver my presentation in 3 parts. Yes. The first one is the value and potential of Indonesia's nature for gastronomy tourism. The second one is how gastronomy tourism can continue during the COVID-19 pandemic. And the third one is creative and innovative ideas to develop gastronomy tourism in Indonesia. Okay. If you can see on my slides, the value and potential of Indonesia's nature for gastronomy tourism. Indonesia has the largest archipelagic country in the world, over 17,100 islands. Fourth most populated country in the world with over 1,340 tribes and 700 regional languages. Indonesia has the second longest coastline in the world with 99,093 kilometers. Rich water animal diversity with 1,340 sea species and 2,500 freshwater species. Amazing land and flora diversity with 85 million acres of tropical rainforest and 40,000 plant species. And Indonesian herbal and spices. And 3,259 formality named calendaries, and 8 World Heritage Cultural Sites, one of which is the Borobudur Temple. All of these leads to Indonesia has the second largest agro biodiversity in the world. And also Borobudur Temple has the Borobudur Temple relief illustrating 8 to 10 BC ancient gastronomy. Okay, the next one is how gastronomy tourism can continue during the COVID-19 pandemic. If we see from these slides that international tourist arrivals in Indonesia, we can see that the number of tourists come to Indonesia have decreased from 16 million in 2019 to 4 million tourists in 2020. But the current government strategy in generating tourism in Indonesia, yes?
You have 1 minute left.
Oh. Have to train, implement, and issue cleanliness, health, safety, and environment-friendly certificates for establishment and tourist destination to verify and or to boost visitor confidence. And also to implement strict health protocol for restaurant, hotel, tourist attraction, and other venues. Creative and innovative ideas to develop gastronomy tourism in Indonesia from our perspective in Indonesian gastronomy community is through Borobudur Temple. Why Borobudur Temple? Because it is the largest Buddhist temple, which have a noble message, which is depicted through relief carved on the temple walls. The noble message through relief is subject to many aspects of life, including the state of Indonesian gastronomy during that time. So Indonesian gastronomy community conducts exploration to provide education about the development of gastronomy from a historical part of view to relief of inscription. Yes, by raising the concept that the food is the nation culture, Indonesian gastronomy can play a role in gastro-diplomacy and improve the economy through gastronomy tourism. It is hoped that this activity initiated by Indonesian gastronomy community will contribute to the concept of gastronomic tourism as an important protector of cultural heritage, helping create economic opportunities to the community, including the creation of jobs to the people living nearby Borobudur. Also to add values to the restaurants by adding the new dishes to their menu, as well as telling the story of the glorious gastronomy in the past.
Thank you, Mrs. Ria, for your presentation. The highlight from you about gastronomic tourism. Indonesian gastronomic tourism offer plenty opportunities to be developed. And the second, we need to recognize and signature food of local destination and promote them as icon. Yes. Before we end of this session, we would like to give you a certificate online to you as a presenter. Please give applause. Thank you very much, Mrs. Ria.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next speakers is Mrs. Hera Octadiana, PhD, CHA, from James Cook University, Australia. Good evening, Ibu Hera.
Good evening, Pak Asep. How are you?
Almost midnight in Australia, isn't it?
No, still 10:40.
Oh, okay. How was your day?
It's good. It's been busy.
Okay.
Because before I also had to give a speech for the COVID. It's about the community effort for COVID with the Indonesian colleagues as well. And this is my second event for today.
Okay. Let me read your short biography. Hera Oktadiana earned her PhD from School of Hotel Tourism Management, the Hong Kong Polytechnic University. She also received certified hospitality educator from American Hotel and Lodging Education Institute. She has been academic members at Bina Nusantara University, Bunda Mulia University, and Trisakti School of Tourism in Indonesia. She joined James Cook University, Australia since 2017, now as an associate professor. Her research interests include tourism and hospitality education and tourism behavior, emerging market, especially in the area of Muslim tourists. She had received several awards from her research and publication. The most recent was from the Ministry of Research and Technology. Currently, she is on editorial board of Asia Pacific Journal of Tourism Research, International Journal of Tourism Cities, and some Indonesian journal. Ibu Hera, you have 10 minutes to present your presentation. Time is yours.
Thank you, Pak Asep. Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to respected audiences, speakers, and the executive committees of Polytechnic Sahid Jakarta. And thank you to Pak Asep and Ibu Neni for inviting me to be here. It is great to be here with all of you, even though it is quite late now in Australia. And I just managed to put my daughter to bed because she was always excited whenever I had to speak on something. Okay, so for the, sorry, can you please show the first slide? Yeah, okay. So today I would like to talk about the experiencing a destination through the gastronomy tourism. Okay, next. So I believe many of you are familiar with the term gastronomy tourism, right? So I think Ms. Ria already explained about gastronomy, but this is only a brief explanation about gastronomy tourism based on the UNWTO. So gastronomy is not just about the food, it's also about showing the culture, the heritage, the tradition, how to promote cultural understanding and diversity, and how to protect the cultural heritage, and also to create the job opportunity, especially for the destination in the rural area. Okay, next please. So there are a lot of motivation for the tourists to visit at the destination, and one of the very influencing motivation is the food-related motivation or gastronomy, because people visit to a destination not only because of the attraction but also because of the food. So gastronomy tourists generally spend more time and money on the gastronomy experiences because they would like to try the delicacies of the local food and experiencing the local food. So basically, the gastronomy market, they appreciate the food from the local destination. And then some studies, and one of them actually, one of the speakers here, Dr. Carpio, actually made a study about the overall tourist experiences, and then some of the studies actually show that overall tourist experiences actually is related with the local food satisfaction or the gastronomic experiences. Okay, next please. Okay, so this is the case in the Jeonju City, South Korea. I hope I pronounce it right. I think Dr. Carpio can explain more about his research, but this is only like a brief explanation about the recent study on the tourist experiences and gastronomy. So in the study, you can see this before the COVID-19 pandemic and during the pandemic. You can see that the local food satisfaction actually is one of the important factors of the total experience of the tourists. Tourists actually enjoy to try the different local food, and then it is considered as a very important experience. They would like to have a dining out and then to try the different street food. Okay, next please. So you can see in here from several studies, even before the COVID in 2006 until nowadays, you can see that people, the motivation for people to visit the destination, one of them is for the food, is at the top 3 of the tourist motivation, a part of the leisure and then a business, on also visiting friends or relative. So people coming to the destination because of the food is very influential, and even not only for the first time visitors, but also for the repeat tourists. Okay, next please. So this is I'm not sure how to pronounce it right, but it's a Gallagher 2003 indicated there are 4 types of the culinary tourism experiences. So there are 4 types of gastronomy tourists: recreational, diversionary, existential, and then experimental. The first one, recreational, is the conservative type. So they enjoy the home cooking and they appreciate to have meals together with their family and friends. The diversionary, they prefer the familiarity of the food and then food that they can easily get, food which has a value for money and also big portion. So quantity is more important for this type of tourists rather than the quality. And for them, eating is a great way to get together with friends and to meet people and enjoy life. The existential people or tourists, they consider food and beverage consumption is to gain knowledge and understanding about the local destination. And they like to try to experience the traditional food, simple and pleasant dishes. So it's like a street food. On the other hand, the fourth part, the fourth type, the experimental, they like the food and beverage as a symbol of lifestyle and prestige. So this type of market, they're interested in the trendy and fashionable food. Okay, next please. So as you can see in here that gastronomy plays a major role in the way tourists experience the destination. And not only that, but also gastronomy will encourage people or will encourage the tourists to return to the same destination as the repeat tourists to enjoy the uniqueness of the gastronomy or the food in the destination. And not only that, further, gastronomy also used as the tool for getting new experiences and to discover about culture and the people in the destination and to satisfy the personal needs with the friends or family. And the essence of gastronomy is not only that. Gastronomy is available all year round, which is very good because for those destinations who don't have good natural resources or no natural resources, and let's say like sun, sea, or sand, they can actually promote the gastronomy as the as the tourism. And also gastronomy is a vital part of sustainable tourism, and gastronomy can also make tourists feel good about themselves. So in these photos, people from in Australia,
you have 1 minute
actually
left.
do the who actually participated in the food festival. So what next? So we need to think who will gain benefits from the gastronomy tourism. Benefits from for the tourists, for the hospitality and travel industry sector, and then for gastronomy providers, and also for the community and the residents. And then what are we going and what we should do? We should think about how to market and promote the gastronomy tourism by considering the 4 types of the tourist experiences. Okay, thank you very much. Next, please.
Thank you very much,
okay,
Mrs.
thank
Hera.
you. Terima kasih.
Sama-sama. May I highlight about gastronomy from your presentation? First, gastronomic tourism is sustained by role of local tourists who dominate the market, particularly during the pandemic. And the second, the tourism industry can boost gastronomic tourism by matching the needs of different tourist typologies. Before we end up this session, we would like to give a certificate online to you as a presenter. Give a big applause to Ibu Hera. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pak Asep.
Ladies and gentlemen, the third speaker is Dr. Wigiono Yono Purnomo, the owner Yono Restaurant, Albany, New York, United States of America. Good morning, Chef. Please unmute. We cannot hear yours. Okay. We cannot hear you. Mas Momo?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Good morning.
Glad to hear your
good
voice,
evening.
sir. What time is it in New York, Pak?
Right now it's only 8:45 in the morning.
Oh, it's early morning, yeah. I heard New York getting better to facing coronavirus pandemic.
Actually, it's wonderful. Finally, we celebrate the Mass and celebrating the Independence Day last week.
Okay.
4th of July.
Okay, sir. You have a long curriculum vitae, but allow me to read in a short version, okay?
Thank you.
Chef Yono, co-owner of Yono Restaurant. He is a member of American Culinary Federation, National Restaurant Association, New York State Restaurant Association, Confrérie de la Chaîne de Rôtisserie Restaurant, and many more. He has expertly mastered the unique blending of exotic spices from tropical countries and a dragon-mounted sambal, creating a unique, sophisticated, complex, and layered cuisine. He has won numerous bronze, silver, and gold medals through the both national and international competition. Chef Yono has represented the United States both individually and as a captain of the 3-member United States team in the British Open Cookery Championship. Chef Yono was team manager, lead the 7-member of New York State culinary team to London for Hotel Olympia La Parade de Chef. Chef Yono, you have 10 minutes to present your presentation. Time is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Asep. Because everything already been introduced to past speaker, Buria and Buhera. Right now, I'd like to talk about Indonesian cuisine. I think Indonesian cuisine is one of the best cuisine in the world because we have so many layer and flavor that no one has to compare to. I know Mrs. Ria and Mr. Hera already long-winded about gastronomy, tourism Indonesia. I just want to adding it up a little bit about the gastronomy in Indonesia during COVID. In March 1919, our governor announced that we must close the whole entire operation. And then what we should do? Because we have so many food already in the walk-in cooler, so we try to create mass feed to anybody who needed the food for at least for 3 days. After that, we have so many story about TV and newspaper and so on, and so many people care about how to help. So finally, a week later, we have the whole food truck from food bank parking behind my parking lot to donate the food. So since then, we created the Fit Albany because of my son. Is until today, we feed between 800 to 1100 meal a day, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, until today. So it is important that during this time is so many people need some food to live, even though I believe that American is big country, powerful country, the richest country in the world, but we still have a lot of people can feed themselves during pandemic. Gastronomy, tourism in Bali, in Java, I know it's very I call lockdowns like in United States about sometime last year. It is increased from us, from Indonesia, to how you said that? Try to helping other. So from the gastronomic, we do a lot to attract the tourism to Indonesia. We have a cooking class every Saturday from 12 to 3. Also, we do a lot of education to the school and civic organization. So we attracted the people love the cuisine, and then they love going to Indonesia to tourism. And for a fact, in September, if everything planned, we're going to bring the group team of professor and the president of SUNY to Indonesia to see what we have to offer in our country, culinary and gastronomic in Indonesia. I think I just said this time right now, and I'm willing to entertain because we get already covered the whole gastronomy and culinary in Indonesia. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chef Yono, for your presentation. If I can conclude, your presentation are the restaurant industry during crisis can assist or help the community, and how important is it to introduce the local culinary to tourists? Thank you, sir. We would like to give a certificate online to you as a presenter. Please give applause to Chef Yono. Thank you very much, Chef.
Thank you and welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, the fourth speaker is Dr. Marcela T. Garces from Department of Modern Language and Classic, Siena College, New York, United States of America. Good morning, Dr. Grace.
Good morning.
From Siena College.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I will read your biography. She was graduate from the University of Minnesota in 2010. Now she is associate professor of Spanish at Siena College near Albany, New York. Her broad area of research is contemporary Spanish cultural studies with particular emphasis on Basque gastronomy and patient studies. Most recently, she published an edited volume, Passioning Spain, from Mantillas to Rosalia. Her article in the field of gastronomy were published in the Journal of Gastronomy and Tourism in 2021 and the La Nueva Literatura Hispanica in 2019. She is the scriptwriter of the talk show experience, The Secret Culinary Space of the Basque in 2017, a documentary film about Basque gastronomy, which was screened on Iberia Airlines in spring 2018 on 25 different transatlantic flights. Dr. Garcia, you have 10 minutes to present your presentation. Time is yours.
Thank you, ASAP, for the introduction. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Great, okay. And thank you as well to Chef Vida for all the help organizing the presentation. I wanted to begin by explaining a little bit about my background, because I believe I'm slightly different from some of the other in terms of the connection. So to tourism, to gastronomic tourism is what we have in common. And basically, I wanted to talk about, so I am located at Siena College here near Albany, New York, actually just down the street from Yono's restaurant. And it's an amazing coincidence because we're meeting here for the first time on this webinar.
Yes.
So I'll have to visit Yono soon. And I can give you a little outline of my presentation here. So discussing my connection to gastronomy, and then also the documentary that you mentioned in my introduction, the academic work I've done, and the pedagogy that I've done. So I am primarily a professor, and I teach about a course actually about Basque gastronomy. Then of course the adaptation of this course, and then some thoughts from a recent trip that I took to Spain. I was just there from May 21st to July 6th. And so I observed a few things about gastronomic tourism in Spain that I would like to share as well. So here's the first slide. And just to highlight, I always like to use maps. And I live in Albany, which is just 2.5 hours north of New York City. And my college is called Siena College. It's a small liberal arts college. And then I often go to the Basque country in Spain. And you can see on the map, it's a region that has 3 provinces, and each province has very unique gastronomy and very wonderful food. So the next slide. The connection that I have to gastronomic tourism is primarily through a documentary film that my husband and creative partner directed. His name is Yuri Morejon. And I was the script writer. I conducted all the interviews. We interviewed 4 Michelin star chefs, as well as many experts in the culinary fields located in Spain. Primarily, we wanted to teach people more about the richness of the Basque country in terms of its culinary richness, and also to foment gastronomic tourism in particular. So the word choco is a Basque word. It means corner, and it also can mean in Spanish, they call them una sociedad gastronómica, which is a gastronomic society. So it's a private space or a private club where you cook and eat in community. And so you already mentioned this, but you can see where the film was presented, and then also the screenings in Spain and in the US and on Iberia Airlines. So we were able to share with the international community, and now we do private screenings of the film. And this film, if we go to the next slide, it inspired me. because after visiting all these unique gastronomic locations, I thought, wow, I really would like to share these with my students at Siena College. And we have a course that is called a study travel course, which involves studying a destination for the whole semester. So from January to May, we study the place intensively, discuss its history, its culinary traditions, and then we culminate with a trip to the area. So in 2018, I was able to take a group of students from here, 13 students with another professor, a colleague of mine, Dr. Acarius Kelly in political science, and we went to the Basque Country for 10 days. And you can see some of the photos there. They're from our, actually, if you go back, please, to slide 3. There are many photos there that explain what we were able to do during our trip. And so we visited a choco, actually a traditional choco, and we were able to cook with them. So you can see a tortilla de patatas, or it's a Spanish omelet with potatoes and onions and eggs. And then of course, the pastries there, we visited several different wineries and also salt mines. We also visited a local cheese business. We visited several museums that have exhibits or information, and did many tastings of, for example, Chacoli wine, which is typical to the Basque region and great with all the gourmet canned fish and products that they make there. And so this was a wonderful trip, very great success. We were able to learn a lot, but also use our knowledge that we had developed throughout the semester. And after that, then I continued to present on gastronomic tourism and the impact of also teaching with my students. So I published a couple of articles, and you can go to the next slide, slide 4, please. And then in 2020, I was set to take another group of students to the Basque Country. But of course, the COVID-19 outbreak obliged all of us to slow down the pace of life in many ways. And so the trip was canceled. I had planned in May 2020. So I had to think about how to replace the sensory richness of a highly experiential trip by creating a series of online projects that incorporated tenets of the slow food movement. And I really had to find an alternative to travel because the students couldn't travel there, but they had to do other assignments. So home cooking became a necessary alternative to travel for my students. And basically they had to mindfully reflect on culinary experiences, but also a slower pace of life during the COVID-19, especially in last spring. So we use different sensory and cognitive educational methods. And interestingly, you can see the pictures there, they all chose to make desserts. And I thought that was an interesting thing because they had the opportunity to make savory things, but they all chose desserts. So you can see on the left is a goshua, which is sort of like a Basque tiramisu. In the middle is a rice pudding, which is very typical, not only in Spain, but in many places in the world. And then a pound cake, which is a really nice light kind of pound cake that they make with yogurt in the Basque Country. So it's not quite as sweet. And so the students were really wonderful in 2020, even though they were disappointed, they still, I think, got a lot of things. And I think there's some people with can mute their microphones. And so basically I had to do a different thing, right? Which is what many of us had to do, but also it was good because the students realized that they could create something in their homes that of course doesn't replicate the experience of visiting a place, but it does help them to understand a culinary destination. So if we can go to the 5th slide, please. So in terms of gastronomic tourism in Spain and future plans, in 2022, I would like to lead another trip to the Basque Country through Siena College where I work. And this summer, I had the opportunity to visit Spain with my husband and just wanted to share a few things that I noticed because I was also keeping my eye on studying what I could do next year with the students, but also on what is the status of culinary tourism there right now, what is going on. I did notice, for example, that some of the Michelin-starred restaurants are adapting their menus. They're making them more local and also reducing the prices of their menus because they are trying to attract more local tourism. For example, Nerua, which is the restaurant at the Guggenheim Bilbao, is the chef there is Jose Analija, and what they've done is reduced their price of their menu, and in hopes to attract many other people from the local area. Another thing I noticed is that local television is focusing more on gastronomy and cooking shows, and they also are doing things like highlighting local restaurants on local television. So that allows people to come and visit and see, for example, what is the star plate that this restaurant makes and who can come and visit. And I thought that was a nice
Dr.
way
Garces?
to promote. Yes, I have 1 minute, right?
Yeah, sorry, your
Okay,
time is
thank you.
up.
Yep. Okay,
Sorry,
so
I cut your.
if you can
your
put up the
presentation.
slide once again,
Yes,
please.
yes.
Yep. So basically, another thing I noticed is there are many commercials focused on tourism within Spain. So local tourism, there are wonderful destinations there, and that was another way to foment tourism. And then coupon systems to have local people visit restaurants and hotels at reduced rates. And so I thought those were all nice ideas to create interest in destinations that are sometimes more frequented by tourists, but obviously right now tourism has slowed down. It's picking back up. There were definitely tourists there from Germany, from France, fewer from the US, though a couple, but that just opened back up recently. And so those are some of my ideas, and I wanted to thank you all and appreciate very much being invited to the webinar.
Thank you, Dr. Garces, for your presentation. The highlight from your presentation, if I can conclude, is it important to introduce food and culinary knowledge and experience to wider audience abroad, either through on location or online? And this pandemic bring innovation and adaptation to the way we learn and teach about the food. We would like to give a certificate online to you. As a presenter, please give applause to Dr. Garces. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, the fifth speaker, we have Dr. Elise Monyard from School of Food Studies and Gastronomy, Faculty of Social Science and Leisure Management, Taylor University, Malaysia. Bonsoir.
Et bonsoir.
Comment ça va?
Ça va, merci.
Ça va. Très bien. Glad to have you in this event. Allow me to read your short biography. Dr. Elise joined Taylor University, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia in 2014 after receiving her PhD in sociology from Université de Toulouse, Chertop CNRS, Toulouse, France. She has led the fundamental research grant scheme from the Malaysia Ministry of Higher Education. Dr. Elise works currently focused on tourism promotion of food heritage and modernization of food and eating habits.
Thank you very much.
You have 10 minutes to present your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Asep, for this presentation. I have a bit of echo here. Is it clear for you all? Okay, I think so. All right. Thank you also very much for this invitation and to the previous speakers for introducing a few concepts. At Taylor University, I'm leading some programs, postgraduate programs in food studies, hence actually this choice of directing actually my presentation towards actually food studies. So maybe I thought like it would be good to go back a little bit to some basics here about how we can actually create added value with foods, where we have actually, when considering food, three main areas we can play around with. Basically, the agronomic aspects, the technical aspects, and the cultural aspect. And when it comes actually to gastronomic or culinary or food tourism, here maybe we saw that we can actually discuss. We can actually basically play around actually mainly this actually association between technical aspect and cultural aspect with actually, for example, haute cuisine, as well as some aspects which are relating culture and geographic and agronomy. So hence actually here going back to the promotion of, for example, geographic indications. Here we can see that there are actually quite a few avenues, and as mentioned, food and or gastronomy tourism have been actually generating a lot of income for countries during the experience. And this actually beneficiates to different actually sectors of the economy. Here just quickly, we can actually list at least food service, agriculture, as well as luxury goods and industry. If we go further in this direction, based on this actually type of conclusion and others, of course, the Asian Tourism Forum of 2018 has been actually here really like looking into actually the question of food tourism and gastronomic tourism as an important actually driver for the politic of tourism in Asia. Asian countries, and especially in this regard of sustainability, where gastronomic tourism is actually looked as a way to maintain actually and preserve local heritage and identity, as well as protecting biodiversity, since we know actually that there is a tight connection between local productions and the biodiversity, if we are looking at a big scale with the diversity of different food cultures. Now, if we are looking at Malaysia, here in Malaysia, there are actually a lot of institutional efforts towards the promotion of tourism. Some efforts which are actually before the pandemic. I'm thinking about Fabulous Malaysia with different initiatives, such as, for example, Malaysia Asian Heritage Trail with Chef Wan. We have the Malaysian International Gastronomic Festival. Here you see that I've put the latest actually logo, 2019. Some initiative around Malaysia Kitchen for the World. Some also initiative from the National Heritage Department in inventorying the food heritage, and basically they come out with a list of 100 Malaysian food heritage. So here quite substantial work. Some other institutional effort also with this initiative, one village or one district now, which is associated actually to one type of production. So here we're going back actually to the localization of the productions. And we can see that these efforts are actually continuing amidst the pandemic, since, for example, Kuching has been actually looked as one potential actually city to apply actually for the United Nations Creative City Network for gastronomy. So here we can see that the effort is still ongoing. And we can imagine that here the effort is still ongoing because beyond actually what can be found during the tourism, the tourism experience by itself, basically food is actually a way to prepare the experience and a way actually to remember this experience afterwards with some souvenirs. So here, if we look at this actually that kind of time frame, we can actually consider that basically food tourism is actually beyond actually this experience on the spot, with actually some products actually which are actually bought before, and also actually some products which are bought for after, and actually promoting some local production in actually the long term. So based on this actually framework, we can actually also like look into some conclusions. Basap, we were mentioning about this research grant I've been involved in for the Malaysian Ministry of Higher Education. So this actually research was going on in a remote context in Kelabit Island, Borneo. And of course, it was before the pandemic, but as a continuation of what has been presented before by Dr. Era, for example, on the phenomenology, of tourism experience, I think we can actually imagine that as long as local tourism will be possible again, when actually Malaysians will be able to cross interstate borders. We can imagine that food tourism can take a place in discovering other food or regional culture. And this is especially true when it comes actually to multicultural context. So within actually the own country, there are some avenues actually to discover actually some other actually food cultures. And here, for example, you can see that actually we have actually some people from Peninsular Malaysia discovering actually the food culture of minority in actually Borneo. Sure, I will conclude. Thank you. Another here avenue is that basically food tourism is actually very much used to discover actively and soundly a territory by basically incorporating its food product, and by incorporating the food product, also incorporating the territory. So really like making sense here of actually discovering actually some new places. It will be also here some ways actually to rediscover one's very own cultural roots. So especially in a situation where there is a lot of actually migration towards the cities, as well as potentially testing its own cultural and individual limits with actually, for example, some products which are going back to food taboos. So all in all, I think like there are actually some opportunities here, even though it's always difficult to conclude like very, very firmly, and even more actually opportunities that in actually the context of modernization and rapid modernization that Malaysia is going through. Basically, like food heritage is a way to build and actually express the belonging to a collective identity and create actually some consistency between past, present, and future. So I think like there is still actually some opportunities as soon as interstate borders are opening. That would be all. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Alice. Thank you, Dr. Alice, for your presentation. If I can conclude, gastronomy tourism has evolved, and how important is it to have interdisciplinary field to support gastronomy and different food tourism experience over opportunities to attract tourists. Thank you. We would like to give a certificate online to you as a presenter. Please give applause to Dr. Ali. Now, moving along to the next session, please welcome Dr. Nimrod M. Kakyo from Hotel Management Department, Jeonju University, South Korea. He will be speaking to us on the new normal in the gastronomy sector in the Republic of Korea, challenges and opportunities. Good afternoon, sir.
Good evening, Dr. Asap.
What I should call you, Dr. Kakyo, is it all right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Allow me to read your short curriculum detail.
Thank you.
Dr. Nimrod Mendoza Kakyo is from Philippines and presently a faculty member of Jeonju University in the Republic of Korea. He earned his doctorate degree in business management, major in hotel restaurant management in 2014, and took his Master of Science in Hotel and Restaurant Management 2009 at the Philippines Women University. He also joined Olivares College Tagaytay, Philippine Women's University, and Far Eastern University as assistant professor. Presently, he is a graduate school professor at Philippines Women's University. Aside from his many accomplishments, he was able to make several researches and publications. Dr. Nimrod, now time is yours to present your presentation.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone. I would like to greet everyone. A good evening. Hello, everyone. Annyeonghaseyo and mabuhay. Greetings from South Korea. First of all, I would like to send my gratitude to the Sahid Polytechnic for inviting me, and to Dr. Hera Octadiana for citing one of my publications a while ago with my co-authors. And again, I am Dr. Nimrod M. Carpio, a Filipino professor here in South Korea. At this time, I will share with you the battleground and some issues, challenges, and opportunities of gastronomic tourism here in the Republic of South Korea. To meet the requirement, the time requirement, I will just share with you how COVID-19 affects both food service and tourism sectors here in South Korea and how these sectors cope up these days. So for the title of my presentation, so Gastronomic Tourism of the Republic of Korea, Challenges and Opportunities. So to give you some background about the country, about the present situation of South Korea, COVID-19, same with other countries, has shaped food trends in this country. Online food sales grew up by 46% in 2020 last year to $17 billion. The restaurant sector suffered as eating in restaurants decreased by 7.5%. So this was the report last April 29, 2021 by Yun Soo Cho under the United States Department of Agriculture. So first part of my presentation, I would like to present to you the challenges of the gastronomy tourism here in South Korea. First of all, we have the social distancing rules. So Korea has enacted 6 social distancing levels, which are 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, and 4. Each level comes with different restrictions. So why did I include this? Because in these restrictions, the food service industry or the sector, as well as the tourism, is really affected. For example, right now, the Seoul, the metropolitan, the capital city of this country, South Korea, is under level 4 because of the surge of cases in the past few days. So because of this, the gatherings of more than 2 people is not allowed after 6 p.m. So if you are the owner of a restaurant and you are having your tour, it will affect, right? It will affect your plan. So the second one is the time of operation. So the restaurants, same with the restrictions, are currently required to close as early as 6 p.m. if it is in level 4, and if it is in the lowest number, which is number 1 or restrictions, latest is the 9 p.m. And groups are limited to 8 or 4 or even fewer due to social distancing requirements. So as you can see here, even though this empty, right? And this is one of the bars in the metropolitan in Seoul. It's empty, right? Because of the restriction. The third one is the food delivery. Maybe some of you will ask me why it became challenge in the food service. We are talking about the gastronomy tourism. So when you say gastronomy tourism, you are touring, you are having travel to have your gastronomy or your food in different places. But food delivery, because of the increasing sales in this country, okay, since the first quarter of 2020, it affect the dining in of the diners, of the customers or the tourists since last year. So because of this, even though this is very good or it is very helpful in the South Korean economy, in gastronomy tourism, it affect it negatively. Okay, the fourth one is the booming of the restaurant meal replacement, or what we call the RMR. So these started this kind of strategy by different kinds of from different companies started to enter the market. HMRs were already growing in popularity even before the pandemic, but this trend really continued and will really continue here in South Korea. Why? Because of instead of going to the restaurant or having a tour, gastronomy tourism, you will just buy, okay, Koreans and even foreigners here in South Korea, we just buy ready to cook, okay, ready to eat rather, ready to eat food instead of going to the restaurant because of the surge of cases, okay? And to give you the opportunities that may adapt, okay, in other countries, what I mean is we are adapting right now, and maybe you can adapt in your country, is number 1 is a disaster relief fund. So the government, the Korean government has provided disaster relief funds to the restaurant owners. So last April 2020, last year, until now, until this year, 20% of the relief fund from the government were given to restaurant sector. So if I'm going to give you the exact percentage of the relief fund, the supermarket groceries has 26, but the restaurant industry or the restaurant sector gained 24% relief fund from the government. So the Korean government knew that the food service sector suffers as well as the tourism. As you can see here, the hospitality, the clothing, gas station, convenience store, education, and others are really affected. So they really allotted fund for this sector. So the second one, this is one of the uniqueness of Korean practices during the pandemic, is the offering of open data on virus safe restaurants. So what does it mean? So the South Korean government has teamed up with the mobile giant Kakao Corp. So maybe some of you are not familiar. Kakao is just the same with Facebook, with Instagram, and maybe with WhatsApp or other social media platforms. So what they done is that they partner, the government partner with the different restaurant owners, and if the restaurant followed the strict sanitary guidelines or the protocols of the government, they were listed in Kakao, because Koreans are very fond of using this platform. So if you are even foreigners, we are using this platform. So if you want to dine in a restaurant, if you want to go and have a tour in different city, we will just use this app and we will look in the different restaurant or what restaurant we want, and we can check if this restaurant is following the protocol of the country, of the government. So these two photos are my personal photo when I traveled in Busan. So in one of the restaurant, they gave plastic for the mask if you're going to remove that, and you need to call this number, government number, so that you have you will be listed for the tracing in case that restaurant will be will have a present of the coronavirus. And we are also using QR codes instead of writing, or some of the restaurants.
Dr. Nimrod, 1 hour,
And
1 minute left.
yes, for the last one is because the South Korean culture is having the culture of having communal servings. Okay, sharing of food. The restaurants are shifted into individual serving. So this is practically in an advantage to the sector. Why? Because of the food waste will be deducted, and the food cost will also be deducted. So this is an opportunity for the gastronomy tourism in South Korea. So this is the end of my presentation, and I would like to leave you saying that it's okay to struggle, but it's not okay to give up. This is a message from Gabe Grunewald. Thank you so much. Kamsahamnida. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you. Salamat, Dr. Nimrod,
Thank you
for
so
your
much.
presentation. Let me rewind some crucial point you mentioned in your presentation. First, the restaurant industry in Korea also practice common safety protocol strategy in the pandemic, like social distance and food delivery. And use the data is important for the restaurant industry to make the consumer well informed about safety condition and to keep them stay safe. And the last, in times of crisis, government plays an important role to support the restaurant industry.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Before the
much.
end of the session, we would like to give a certificate to you. This is a token appreciate from us to you as a great speaker today. Give applause to Dr. Nimrod. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have Dr. Hussein Pamukcu as the 7th speaker from Tourism Faculty, Kocatepe University, Turkey. Good afternoon, Dr. Hussein.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much, dear Asep.
Assalamualaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Alhamdulillah. Before you start your presentation, I'll read your short biography. Dr. Hussein Pamukcu received his bachelor degree from Mustafa Kemal University and his master degree from Avion Kocatepe University. and his doctorate from Sakarya University in 2017. He started his academic career at Kastamonu University. He started to work as a research assistant in 2013, as a doctoral lecturer in 2018 in the Department of Tourism Management of the Faculty of Tourism at the University of Kastamonu. As February 2021, he has continued his career at the Faculty of Tourism, University of Apyon, Kocatepe as Associate Professor. Now, time is yours, Dr. Hussein, to deliver your presentation.
Thank you so much. And dear participants and guests, I'm Hüseyin Pamukçu. I'm studying at Afyon Kocatepe University in Turkey as an association professor in tourism management. The reason why I am here today is to make a presentation about sustainable gastronomic tourism in Turkey perspective. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Asep Parantika for inviting me to this great conference. I feel myself lucky to have a chance to attend this beneficial international gastronomy webinar. As my presentation plan, first of all, I would like to talk about the importance of sustainable gastronomy tourism and Indonesia's place in this regard. Afterwards, I will talk about Turkish culinary culture and Turkey's gastronomic values. And I will finish my presentation by talking about sustainable gastronomy in the COVID-19 pandemic. Indonesia offers a table of abundant research for sustainable gastronomy tourism, but authenticity should be preserved to maintain it. To make the most of this potential, you should make the preservation of the local gastronomic heritage your focus. It is essential to preserve authenticity both in product production and in transferring local dishes to the future. Sustainable gastronomy therefore means cuisine that takes into account where the ingredients are from, how the food is grown, and how it gets to our market and eventually to our plates. Sustainable gastronomy also draws attention to the importance of people consuming local foods. It is extremely necessary to pay attention to the seasonality principle and to prefer local products to increase the production potential of local producers and to continue their existence. In international promotional activities, communication messages based on sustainable gastronomy should be determined and brought together with the global public through the right channels. Now, I would like to talk about a little about Turkey's potential at this point together with its culture. Turkish cuisine is one of the richest cuisine of the world. It is suitable to all tastes. And Turkish cuisine is largely the heritage of Ottoman cuisine, which can be described as a fusion and refinement of Central Asian, Caucasian, Middle Eastern, Mediterranean, and Balkan cuisine. Turkish cuisine has in turn influenced those and other neighboring cuisines, including that of Western Europe. With a long history, the Turks have a rich culinary culture. This wealth is evident in the rich variety of foods. In addition, patterns of behavior have developed in relation to all foods and drinks. Especially in the western parts of Turkey, where olive trees grow abundantly, olive oil is the major type of oil used for cooking. The cuisine of the Asian, Marmara, and Mediterranean region are rich in vegetables, herbs, and fish. For example, breakfast. Turks usually prefer a rich breakfast. And when we see traditional Turkish dishes, we can say, first of all, ezogelin soup. It is a common soup in Turkish cuisine. And döner kebab, everyone knows it as a Turkish döner. Another kebab, which is shish kebab, it's very famous. And lahmacun, we can say like a Turkish pizza. And cacık we served with meal, and then it is always served cold. And lokum is the Turkish delight. It is a family of confection based on a gel for starch and sugar. And I have been living in Afyonkarahisar, where the Turkish delight is capital. And künefe is my city. It is a really delicious Turkish dessert. And dondurma, this is an ice cream. It is the name given to ice cream is Turkey. Dondurma typically includes the ingredients milk, sugar, salep, and mastic. It is believed to originate from the city and the region of Maraş, and also known as Maraş ice cream. And baklava also, this is another really special our dessert. And when we see traditional Turkish beverages, we can say ayran and Turkish coffee. For example, Turkish coffee, it is a method of preparing coffee. Turkish coffee is an intangible cultural heritage of Turks confirmed by UNESCO. Please, could you come page of 19? And highlighting the importance of Turkish cities such as Hatay, Gaziantep, and Afyonkarahisar that are recognized by UNESCO as creative cities of gastronomy. These cities have gained this title by using the resources, and they have in the most accurate way. In fact, many cities of our country have a deep culinary culture and an enormous product richness. These cities have some obligations that come with participating in the UNESCO Creative Cities Network. The foremost of these is to preserve the local culinary culture. In addition, increasing the gastronomic potential of the city further, increasing the number of events and the participation of local people in those events, and improving cooperation with other cities belonging to the network in international organizations are the activities that cities have to implement. And the UNESCO Creative Cities Network was created in 2004 to promote cooperation with and among cities that have identified creativity as a strategic factor for sustainable urban development. The main objectives of the society are to reveal and develop your richness of cuisine and beverage and food presentation manners through scientific research to promote your cuisine abroad. Could you please come page of 20? And as the COVID-19 pandemic is still unfolding across the globe, sustainable gastronomy, celebrating seasonal ingredients and producers and preserving wildlife, as well as our culinary tradition, is today more relevant than ever. Sustainable gastronomy is important as it matters where your ingredients are coming from. Is local economy benefiting? How do the farmers grow food? Are they using pesticides and chemicals to increase the harvests? Do they know and apply preservation techniques not to waste them? What is the adventure of food from farm to our tables? Service, product, or technique should be made into brand to increase the contribution of sustainable gastronomy to the country's economy. Turkey has done a good job on sustainable gastronomy, and this work has been going on. And I suggest that, yes?
You have 1 minute left.
Okay. I suggest that countries should have a national roadmap for sustainable gastronomy with mid and long-term plans where stakeholders are well defined to have better and efficient outcomes, adding that all 3D should implement this plan with a budget. There must be a sound and efficient communication, vertical and horizontal, at every level of the stakeholders of the sustainable gastronomy entitles. We can go last pages. Don't forget, it is important for everybody to do their own work well for a successful, sustainable gastronomy. Thank you so much for listening to me.
Thank you, Dr. Hussein. Doner kebab is very popular among Indonesian people.
When you come to Turkey, we will go very
I'm not yet, probably soon, after the pandemic COVID.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Hussein, for your presentation. Let me
welcome.
rewind some crucial points you mentioned in your presentation. First, gastronomy tourism, it is the attraction that support tourism industry. A rich history and culinary varieties are advantage for local tourism. And the last, it is important to preserve culinary as part of culture and tradition to sustain tourism industry. Before we end this session, would like to give a certificate online to you
Thank you.
as speaker. Please give applause to Dr. Hussein Pamucu. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the next speakers, we have Mr. Temur Mirzaev from Tourism and Sport Ministry, Uzbekistan. Good afternoon, sir. Okay. Please unmute your. Okay. Just a moment. Already unmute your Zoom? I cannot. Once more.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. Alhamdulillah.
Mr. Asad.
I heard your
Very nice to
voice.
see you. Very happy to see you.
Yes.
Terima kasih banyak atas
Alhamdulillah. Allow me to read your short biography, sir.
Yeah. Did you finish it or
Yes.
shall I tell
Start
myself?
working at the university, then continue as a translator and tour guide. In 2015, start work in the Uzbek Tourism National Company. Currently, the organization was upgraded into Ministry of Tourism and Sport. There, he worked as in a Ziara Tourism Division, Tourism Diversification Department. Mr. Temur, please present your presentation with the title Culinary, the New Tourism Attraction in the Post-Pandemic. Time is yours.
Terima kasih banyak. Thank you very much for the chance to be given for me to attend this event. Is it possible for the presentation to be shared by me or by your admin?
Yes.
Is it okay if I share myself, because there will be some pointers that I have to stress, zoom in?
Yeah, you can operate by.
Thank you. Can you see the screen?
By yourself. Please share in Google Meet, please.
Can you see my screen?
Okay, one moment. Yes, you can present your presentation.
Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Asef, can you
Yes.
see?
We already
share it
see your presentation.
Because admin is saying I have to share through Google Meet, but I cannot do it
we
now.
see your presentation already.
That's good. Okay, for the start, thank you very much for the Sahid Polytechnic, the team, professors, academicians, researchers, and the friends from all over the world with participating in this wonderful meeting. My name is Timur. I'm advisor to the minister, and I am a big fan of Indonesia. because I used to study in Indonesia long time ago. Just the structure of the presentation will be a quick overview of Uzbekistan and what tourism it represents. And then we switch to the best practices Uzbekistan experienced during the last 5 years, when the Committee of Tourism Development was upgraded into the Ministry of Tourism, and then some suggestions about Indonesia and culinary that can boost Indonesia's performance after pandemic. So about a quick overview about Uzbekistan. We are very close to the Turkey, as our Mr. Pamuk used to present before me, and we have 4 seasons and different landscape, and our culinary originates based on these seasonalities, and it's very variative, and it has culinary features of Europe, Central Asia, Middle East, South Asia, and China. So So recently, for the last 2 years, now we are opening free visa to 90 countries with 57 e-visa. So a lot of hotels are built recently, some of them with a halal branding, because Muslim heritage is, I think, the main strongest point of Uzbekistan's tourism. In this picture is very significant, and it relates to this very webinar, because this is Sahid family. We are very good friends, and Sahid families, all members used to visit Uzbekistan, including the Professor Panugroho, Mr. Nugroho, and Johannes. And we are cooperating in many aspects, including halal and Muslim-friendly tourism, hotel businesses. So the Uzbekistan is a home to Imam al-Bukhari, Imam al-Tirmizi, Abu Mansur Maturidi, Bahauddin Naqshbandi, and many more imams and scientists like Al-Kharazmi, Al-Biruni, Ibn Sina, Uzbek, and Babur. As you know, Babur, who founded the Mughal Empire in South Asia, including India. So Muslim attractions, Uzbekistan's Muslim attractions, over 8,000, plus halal and healthy food as a bulletproof combination to boost tourism. This proved true during the last 3 years. We could increase tourism numbers, tourism flows, from 2.2 million to 6.7 million. So before pandemic, Uzbekistan received 6.7 million tourists, and 88% of them are from Muslim countries, because the heritage we offer is mostly Muslim. I would love to emphasize the role of food, gastronomy in the tourism and in our day-to-day life. So there is a saying, very famous saying in Uzbek, the way to man's heart is through his stomach. And it's just a proof. I think everyone watched the European Cup, where most of the topics of the buzz was around the food, like being healthy, not drinking Coca-Cola, but drinking plain water, not drinking alcohol by Paul Pogba. And just the latest meme, just 3 days ago, Italy won over the England. And as you know, Italy is famous with pizza, and they don't like when they put pineapple, so they use this meme. So this indicates how food is integrated day-to-day life, whether it's sports, whether it's tourism, whether it is just travel to another neighboring city. So I would love to highlight again, when when promoting tourism in Indonesia, just my focus is to Indonesia, like Turkey does, like Bali's image, as you see, even so, infinity pool in Bali is, I think, most popular among honeymooners. And Pamukkale in Turkey is famous with hot air balloon. But whenever you see, to make it warm, to make it more humane, welcoming, we see in marketing, the food is central. The comfort is around food, not about the hot air balloon, not about the infinity pool. So everywhere is food is central. And as I say about halal tourism, I think among Muslims, food is central to travel, Muslim travel, because every Muslim dreams of going to Hajj, Umrah, and the main souvenir, the main, association with travel is always khurma and zamzam. Food and beverage is central to Muslims around the world because of the tradition of Hajj. Next slide. So Uzbekistan, because of our rich Muslim cultural heritage, we are focusing on promoting Muslim-friendly facilities like ablution rooms, prayer rooms, plus halal food. As you see, it's recently certification by the Christian rating halal food of Uzbek restaurants. This is a Singapore-based company. So we are promoting in every prospect promotional program and how friendly Uzbekistan is, how safe Uzbekistan is. As you see, we are among the top 5 safe countries in the world. Yes, please.
You have 1 minute left.
Okay, I'll try to be quick. So the last aspect you see is a global Muslim travel index. This is index for Muslim countries, how friendly they are. And this is the criteria they use for how friendly this country. And you see, among services, this is the core needs, and halal food is given the biggest percentage. And you see, need to have is the halal food. Number 1 is the prayer facilities, and Islamophobia, water-friendly washrooms. And this is today's news. Uzbekistan got the 16th in the rating of the most Muslim-friendly countries. This is today's publication. So we are working closely with the Christian rating to certify for the halal food. And we are holding a lot of big events, Guinness World Record breaking. This is also good for the promoting, raising awareness among Muslim travelers. This is our Deputy Prime Minister during the shoot of the promotion of Uzbek food during pandemic. And we are working, putting out a lot of content about online material, about food, about the food, the regional food, and also a lot of applications that helps Muslim tourists, vegan tourists, that to find out Masjid Finder, Halal Food Finder. So the final one, Mr. Asep, I would need 1 more minute just to conclude about Indonesia, okay? So take away from the significance of the halal food and food to promote tourism after pandemic, I would love to, suggest, if you allow me, I would love to suggest these very brands that are very popular internationally, but during promoting with Indonesia, they are underestimated. So I would love to have the final.
Thank you.
Mr. Asep, can I have the final?
Thank you, Mr. Temur. Your presentation is very interesting. Lucky me that I have been to your country, to Samarkand, and I really enjoy many historical building in your countries. Several that I can conclude are Uzbekistan is a wonderful place to learn Islamic heritage. and it is important to support Muslim and halal tourism. Thank you once again. I would like to give a certificate online to you as a presenter. Please give a big applause to Mr. Temur.
Terima kasih banyak Pak Basir.
Ladies and gentlemen, the ninth speaker, we have Dr. Anukrati Sarma from Department of Commerce and Management, University of Kota, India. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Dr. Sarma. How are you? Okay. I'll read your short biography. Dr. Sarma is an associate professor in the Department of Commerce and Management, University of Kota, Rajasthan, India. In 2015, she received a research award from the University Grants Commission, New Delhi, for her project. Her doctorate from University of Rajasthan. She has 2 postgraduate degree specialties, Master of International Business and Master of Commerce. Her special interests are tourism, tourism marketing, strategic management, and international business management. She has edited several books on tourism under One Publishing. Dr. Sarma, please present your presentation with the title Food Tours and Walk in Promoting a Destination. Time is yours.
Thank you so very much for having me. Very good evening to everyone. I'm Dr. Anukriti Sharma. I am working as an associate professor and the head of the department in Commerce and Management at the University of Kota, Rajasthan, India. And I'm so much thankful to the organizers of the webinar, and they have picked up a very, very nice topic, which is related with the gastronomy and culinary potential industry during the pandemic COVID-19 and lessons from other countries. Topic is very timely and it is very much relevant also. And I have heard all the 8 speakers, and to be very honest, I thoroughly enjoyed all the eight talks, and it was like very interesting. In fact, I have gained lots of knowledge. Especially, I would like to. I'm very much glad to know about Uzbekistan, because I have been to Uzbekistan, and no doubts there the food and the hospitality is awesome. I have been to Turkey as well, as Professor Hussein is from Turkey, and I have enjoyed the delicious food and of course the tea and the crockery is also very nice and very unique at Turkey. So definitely food is something which have lots of dissimilarities, but still something is always similar somehow. So in case of India and Indonesia, also I can say this, that we have diverse cultures. However, in terms of traditional and popular, traditional foods from both countries, we can observe that there are few similarities, and both of the taste, the cooking process, and how to eat. There are few similarities, and this is the reason why it is not so difficult for Indonesians to enjoy Indian cuisine, and vice versa. By the way, before proceeding towards my presentation, I would like to tell something about me, a little bit of introduction about me. Basically, I'm a PhD person from marketing of tourism, and my research area is sustainable tourism development, as well as destination branding and event management. These are my core areas. And so far, I have authored a few books. One is from Malaysia only. And I have few edited books as well under international publications like Cab International, Routledge, Taylors and Francis, and Emerald. I have 2 handbooks under Emerald Springer, as well as under Apple Academy Press, and of course under IGI Global. Few of my books, they are really in very much of demand, like Over Tourism and Technology and Over Tourism as the Destination Risk. These are the few books which are, I think, first from India. So, and a few books are on events also, like tourism events in Asia and even tourism in Asian countries. And currently also working on a few books. If anyone is interested to send their chapters, you're most welcome. And now if we will talk about today's presentation, because it's only 10 minutes allotted to me, so I don't want to describe myself much. I just wanted to talk about the topic. So my topic is actually related with the food walks and the food tours for sustainable development. So first of all, I think we all are, most of us, from the background of gastronomy only. So it is I don't think so that there is a requirement to explain about what is a food tour or a food walk. But yes, of course, in India, if I'll talk about food walks, this is something which is in latest trend. And street food, was always popular in India. And the interesting thing is that now we are offering it in an organized retail format. And street food was always about getting the yummy food on the go. And the reason that this sector has gained prominence now is that the public is more conscious about the hygiene factor and wanted innovative snacks. And that's the reason why we are having food tours and food walks. And it is a very, very new concept in India, which is trying to spread the street food industry globally by helping all the foodies to connect and explore the rich and delicious diversified food. And I think this is, and Indonesia is also very rich in street foods, I'm aware, although I've never visited. But when I was studying, I was doing some research work for this particular presentation, to be very honest with all of you. I come to know that Indonesia is also having lots of street foods. And so this is basically my suggestion, that we have to give a push to the Indonesian street food. That is very much important. And as far as I know, the government in last 5 years, the Indonesian government in last 5 years, they have a great support for the development of food tourism as one of the special interest tourism sector that is promoted extensively into the international market. And probably this is the reason why I know a little bit about the dishes of Indonesia as well. And yes, of course, other than the food tours and food walks every time, because of the pandemic situations, I think this is very much important for us to not only focus on the street food or on the traditional food which we are having in our country. We must have to focus on the power walk food tours. This could be a new innovation where we can talk about the power walk food tours, not mere the food tour or a food walk. We can correlate it with sports. Like we can offer good snacks, we can give them protein drinks or the power bars or chocolates and the fruit packs and honey candies and quick sandwiches, quick healthy sandwiches. So this could be one more add-on where we can say that power walk can be added with food tours and food walks. This is one more suggestion from my side. And with this power walks, with this power food walks or power food tours, we can add the promotional products, because it's all about to give a push to the persons who are into food industry. So we can make some t-shirts and the water bottles or the menu flyers and the folders and the coupons for the power walk participants. We can write some blogs and the storytelling videos. This is something very much missing. We can get some blogs although of regarding the food, especially if I'll talk about Indonesian food. Yes, we do have, I have searched it, because so I found out a few blogs. But if we'll talk about the storytelling videos, they were missing. So this is again a suggestion from my side. Being an academician, this is an era where we cannot survive without the marketing, especially without the social and digital marketing platform. So yes, we have to take some storytelling videos also. We must have to upload those sort of videos. Then I have one more thing, that's marketing of food walks. Again, it is very much important that we have to market the food walks and food tours as well. And this is the right time where we have to focus on the MNCs especially, and on the foreign tourists. We have to grab their attention, especially the MNCs attention towards the towards the street food. Especially every time what we people are doing, we are just trying to provide the food to the localites, or we are providing the food to the tourists whosoever is visiting to our country. But this is the time when we have to focus on the corporate sector as well. Yeah.
You have 1 minute left.
Oh my God. So these are like, I have lots of suggestions to give, although, but I think I have to skip my slides, and because there is like 5 P's which I wanted to explain in line and land, that how we can connect people, peace, planet, prosperity, and partnership with food. But I don't think so that I have that much of time to explain each and everything. And then I would like to suggest a R model, 3R model also, that is the restoring the travel confidence, reducing travel, and retain domestic tourists as much as possible. So these are the few suggestions from my end. And yes, for developing the food tourism, food walks, and food tours in Indonesia, we must have to train our students for different languages. You know, the street people, even the vendors, we need to train them in different languages, because it will be easier to explain about the food to the foreigners, to the foreign tourists. So this is one more suggestion. And definitely we have to focus on the employer sector now, because, you know, employees, if we are benefiting them, you know, the corporate development units, it will be helpful. So employee family food walk, yes, this can we do, and we can give some you know, overall benefits to the family walk parties, or some event initiatives can be take, or the vouchers to the corporate and employees, or the tips ups on the festival and the discounts. These are the few ideas by which we can, you know, give a push to the food tourism industry. And after this after this COVID pandemic situation, it is very much important that we need to promote the marketing strategies are the first and the foremost focus. We need to just put the old wine into the new bottle. So this is
Okay.
all for today, because I don't have time much to explain about all these things. Thank you
No
so very much
worries.
for having me.
We'll continue
Thanks a
our
lot.
discussion later on, but because I do the limited time, and if I can conclude your presentation,
Sure, please.
it is important to explore new ways to introduce local food to tourists and food lovers. For example, food tours and food walk programs. And the pandemic has taught us to be more responsible in managing tourism, to think beyond tourism itself, and to go hand in hand together to survive and thrive. Thank you once again, Ms. Dr. Sarma. We would like to give a certificate online to you as a presenter. Please give a big applause to Dr. Sarma. Once again, thank you very much for your presentation and for your sharing. Ladies and gentlemen, the last speakers is Mrs. Suci Sandi Wahyuni from Polytechnic Sahid, Jakarta, Indonesia. Currently, she is a PhD candidate of tourism studies at Postgraduate School of Gadjah Mada University, Indonesia. As an academician and researcher, she actively doing research for tourism development, especially in Indonesia. Her interests such as gastronomic tourism, culinary tourism, gastronomic product innovation, tourist behavior, tourism marketing, and tourism development. She will present a presentation with title, How Tourists Consume Local Food in the Digital Era, an exploratory study of tourist typology in gastronomy tourism. How are you, Mrs. Suci?
Very well, thank you, Mr. Asef. How are you?
Okay, fine, I'm fine. You have 10 minutes to deliver your presentation. Time is yours.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Asef. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to share the material of the day. The first is about how tourists consume local food in the digital era. And the second is about how the global pandemic changed the tourist behavior. Next slide, please. Well, as we know that gastronomy has become trend worldwide, we can see in those pictures several local culinary and its culture being the main attraction in gastronomy tourism. The proudest rendang from West Sumatra, Indonesia is here too, as the most delicious food in the world by CNN 2017-2018. But the questions are, how do tourists consume local food in the digital era? And then the second one is how the global pandemic changed the food consumption behavior. Next. We have challenged globalization and culinary homogenizations. There are problems. The local culinary less explored by tourists because of inadequate local culinary informations. And then the global culinary is growing massively, so the trend is shifting. But we also have opportunity. Globalization can encourage localization too. There are several pictures below show the assimilation of local food to global food. This is expected to the curiosity of tourists about the original one. So globalization can increase peak experience seeking. Gastronomy tourism trend around the world is a big opportunity too for us to raise the local culinary again. And the emergence of various digital media as a source of information is the big opportunity too. Next. We can see that digital transformation has impacted culinary tourism. There are several pictures that there are various media provide information about food at the destination. There are Instagram, e-services like TripAdvisor, Zomato, YouTube, or Blogspot, and so on. And then next. Okay. Based on my previous research, there are influence of various media on consumer food consumption. The first one is about food blogger has influenced consumer to eat healthy food. And then nowadays, like Gojek application, like delivery online application promotion has influenced to consumer to buy something to eat. And then celebrity endorsement has influenced restaurants' product purchase decision making. And then camera it first. The sequence of tourist motivation to upload food photos in media socials is to capture togetherness as a realization of social life. And the fifth, how social and psychological factors influence the respondent food consumption behavior in the COVID pandemic era. So, in my current research in Indonesia, as a part of my dissertations under supervision Mr. Trikuntoro, Mrs. Dia, and Prof. Sudarmaji, there are 3 types of tourists in gastronomy tourism. There are differences in attitude toward local culinary, perception, and information-seeking behavior. But there are also similarity that all types of tourists use digital media and internet to find information about local culinary in destinations. So there are several types. One is non-culinary tourist, and city, culinary tourist, and gastronomic tourist. So in detail, here's the characteristic of them. Usually non-culinary tourists eating because they are hungry. They will choose healthy food, authentic local food, and visit good atmosphere local culinary restaurant at the destination. But for culinary tourists, they eat because the food is unique and different.
Ibu
So
Suci,
this
you
is
have
oriented but visual
unstable
than
internet
travel.
connection, isn't it? Because we cannot
Okay.
hear you
Can you hear
clearly.
me now?
Yes,
Can you
yes,
hear me
yes.
now, Mr. Asep?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Okay. And then the non-culinary tourists especially use the main information reference is word of mouth from friends. And then the second is YouTube, family, search engine, Instagram. And then the main information reference for culinary tourists, search engine. And then friends, Instagram, family, and YouTube. And for gastronomy tourists is Instagram, friends, search engine, YouTube,
Yes.
and
Ibu
family.
Suci.
But most of them, the key influencer of, yeah. Hello?
Yeah, your
Yeah.
voice is not very clear, probably because of the internet connection.
Okay. How about now, Mr. Asep?
Yes, 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 it's clear.
Okay, good. Thank you so much. And then next slide, please. Okay, this is the previous research that has been done with my college. that has been established in 2020 during the pandemic with my college, it's found that they are increasing of the trend of home cooking, and then the increasing of organic food consumption and interest, and increasing the health. Okay. And then, can you hear my voice, Mr. Asep?
Yeah, your voice is sometimes disappear.
Okay.
No worries.
How about now?
We can read your presentation.
How can about now?
Yeah. Now it's clear.
Okay. So as we can see the graphic in the aspect which consumer consider the most in choosing restaurant or place during the pandemic are cleanliness, health benefit, and then about the taste. So lastly, the suggestion for government and local culinary entrepreneur related with tourist behavior in digital era. The first one is developing creative digital promotion for local culinary, increasing familiarity among tourists, and government needs to support local entrepreneurs for digital promotion assistance, train and facilitating small business to grow more in developing gastronomy tourism, and providing more detailed information about local culinary, especially in official tourism website. And for entrepreneurs, can be increased innovation through the globalization will be good strategy. Next. And then this is the suggestion for small, medium enterprises for raising culinary business in new normal based on our research that have to improve the production process, such as food safety procedure, food packaging, hygiene, and sanitation of food handler. And because of food is not only about the physiological needs, but also physiological and emotional value, SMEs should improve product from the uniqueness, healthy benefit, and safer packaging. And also, we have to use the marketplace and provide online delivery for alternative strategy. And use social media for branding and promotion, show the cleanliness, show the hygiene process, and so on. And then the last one is design new normal restaurant with cleanliness, healthiness, safety, and environment aspect, provide drive-through, transparent kitchen, and so on, so we can build the customer trust. However, in developing gastronomy, all stakeholders must be involved, including the government, associations, industry, academicians, and also the media. So, and that's all my presentations. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to address them. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much, Mrs. Suchi. Exactly 10 minutes. If I can conclude some crucial points that your presentation are the pandemic and the revolution of the technology has shaped tourism behavior. And it is important for small and medium enterprise and the government to monitor change in tourist behavior and to adapt to change through innovative and creative ways. Before we end of this session, we would like to give a certificate online to you as a presenter.
Thank you so much.
Okay, just a moment. Okay, hold on. Yes. Yeah. We will give your certificate online to you. Okay, please give applause to Ibu Suci for her presentation. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to the all speakers. So this is the end of the our webinar today. Oh no, sorry. After this, we have a question and answer session. And thank you for your patience. I'm sure so many questions already received by the committee. Unfortunately, due limited time, we already chosen several questions. I thank you for your understanding. Committee, can we share the question? Hopefully all the speakers will be ready to answer. Okay, question number 1 from Olivia Medan to Mrs. Ria Musiawan. Ibu Ria?
Yeah.
Are you hear me? Ibu Ria, the question from Olivia Medan. How can we maintain our positivism or positivism in gastronomy field amid this pandemic that limit our mobility or activities, particularly to offer our products to consumer? Would you like to answer, Mrs. Ria?
Yes. Thank you very much for the interesting questions. Well, I'd like to first state that the pandemic is already make some very difficult situation for the restaurants, also for the people to make the situations more friendly for the gastronomy field. But I'm very optimistic that from the gastronomy side, because food is always come the first thing in mind whenever people appear. So I think for this condition like now, during the pandemic, food is always able to survive, especially the small business like a restaurant, small business restaurant, they will survive in this the situations because more people are still looking for foods every day, every time, always. I think I'm very optimistic that it will survive.
Okay. I hope Olivia heard about your answer. Thank you, Ibu Ria.
Thank you.
The next question is from Samuel, Indonesia, to Ibu Hera Oktadiana. Ibu Hera?
Ya, Pak Asep.
Okay. The question is, when consumption are low, are there any alternatives to keep our business stay productive and thrive? Would you like to answer, Ibu Hera, please?
Okay, thank you, Pak Asep. So I'm not really sure with what does it mean by consumption are low? It means like not enough market to buy the product.
Probably yes.
Yeah, probably that's what it means, right? When consumption are low. So in this case, we have to use our innovation, right? We have to be innovative. We have to be creative, because gastronomy is about an art, right? It's about art. It's not only about like a business about food, about eating, but also about an art. So in this case, if you want to, let's say, like for example, during the COVID pandemic, right? How can we maintain, or how can we keep up our business, right, to stay productive and strive? So what we can do, maybe there are several options. because now everything is online. Learning across gastronomy is not only about eating, but also about understanding the culture, understanding the history behind the food, and understanding about the spices, how the food is made or cooked. So there are several ways you can do it. For example, maybe you can provide not, let's say, during this pandemic, maybe you cannot go out, right? Because of the lockdown or the restriction. So what you can do, like here in Australia, we have a service where people can actually create like a food ingredients, right? And then they deliver it to the house, to individual houses, and then we can cook, right? We can cook by ourselves. So I think that's a very good idea and very interesting because actually, I also got an offer from some businesses, like a small businesses, and they asked me about their products, that they said, okay, this is our menu, and then this is the ingredients that you are going to need, and this is how you cook it. I think that's a very good idea, right? Instead of providing space for people to eat and dine in our restaurants, you can actually deliver the food and then make the people enjoy making the food, and then understand and understand that, okay, this is how we cook the food, this is how we prepare, and then this is the idea behind the food. And then the other way, maybe you can provide like a course, like a culinary cooking course on the video, right? So I think there's also an option to learn about the food or the gastronomy. So I think that's one example about what we should do when the consumption is low. In this case, I assume the consumption of people eating in the restaurant. Okay, I think.
Okay, thank you, Bu Hera, for your answer. It's very clear. Once again, to all audience, we understand that so many questions that you would like to send to all the speakers, but due the limited time that we already choose only several questions from all of you. Please, thank you for your understanding. The next question is from Muhammad, Indonesia, to Dr. Nimrod. Dr. Nimrod?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The question is from Muhammad. The question is, South Korea has done well in managing the pandemic with strict restriction. How do these strict restriction can be beneficial for gastronomy tourism?
Yeah, that's right. That South Korea is one of the countries that is being mirrored by other countries because of the strict restriction. But I can say that these restrictions has its positive and negative side. It's in terms of positive side, it helps the pandemic, of course, here in South Korea to be to lessen, or the cases to lessen, but it really hurts the food sector, the tourism sector here in South Korea. But in terms of the positive side, the food service sector innovate different kinds of ways on how Korean market will be benefited. One good example is as I mentioned to my presentation, is the food delivery. Although it's part of the challenge, is that here in Korea, food delivery is really on the top, So instead of the tourists going to the restaurant or the diners going to the restaurant, why not bring bring the food to the table? So we have the term farm to table. Now we are following store or restaurant to table because we don't have the choice. Or the other one is that South Korean government is very lenient, or it's very hardworking in terms of giving the trust, or giving and showing the trust for the Koreans and the foreigners living in South Korea, because we don't have any choice. We don't have any choice. Um, unless the pandemic will end. So what I'm trying to say is that the intervention of the government is really needed in this kind of days, not only in Korea but in other countries also. And yeah, restrictions help and restrict the restaurant industry here in South Korea.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Carpio, from your answer. Okay, once again, I'm sure so many of you quite interesting to send your question, but once again, because due limited time, we choose only several questions. The next question is come from Abe, Jakarta, to Chef Yono. Chef? Chef Yono, are you here? Yes. The question is, before you become a great chef, who do you look up to as a mentor in culinary? How can become a great chef like you? I'm sure this Abe would like to become a great chef like you.
Well, I think when I grew up, I like to be pilot, believe it or not. But I was failed 3 times. And my dad said, get up and then moving forward. So since then I went to school, and then I'm looking forward to love of food. So my idol is Escoffier, Chef Escoffier from France. Hello?
Okay.
Yeah.
So thanks for your answer. I hope Abe, did you hear your answer? Okay, once again, thank you, Chef Yono, for your answer.
Thank you, Chef. Bye, Chef.
Okay. The next question is from Anna, Jakarta, to Dr. Anukrati Sharma. The question is, how do we start and make an interesting food tour program? Dr. Anukrati, are you here?
Yeah. Of course, I'm here. Thanks a lot for the question. If you don't mind, can you please ask me the detailed question, because I just got only one line.
Yeah, the question is from Anna, Jakarta.
Okay.
The question is, how do we start and make an interesting food tour program?
Okay. So, basically, whenever we are planning for a tour program, and even I'm telling you about the food walks as well, because, food walks really in trend. The first and the foremost thing, we must have to focus on who will be our customer. The first thing which we have to focus, that who is the target customers. If we are not aware who is the potential customers, then definitely we cannot make a proper food tour or proper food walk. We can't make. So first of all, kindly, if you want to start your business as a food tour operator, or even if you want to suggest someone, please try to understand, we need to focus first of all that for whom we are targeting actually, because we cannot provide same type of food and same type of facilities to each and everyone. For a foreign tourist, maybe we need something else. For the corporate sector people, we need something else. So first of all, you need to do a market segmentation. After doing a market segmentation, then you have to focus what are their demands and the needs, and moreover, what are the desires. And because it is about food, what will be the factors which can make them feel delight about the food? Maybe the serving technique, maybe in the way you are telling them that how to have this food, maybe what you have put in, the organic things which you have put in the food. So you need to highlight all those factors. When we are consuming food as an tourist, if I'll talk, if suppose if I'll visit to your place, and if I'm consuming any street food or any food at any restaurant, maybe
maybe I'll say, oh, it's delicious, it's very yummy, and I'm loving it. But I'm not aware that how you have cooked it, how you have prepared it, what is the, what are the benefits of that food which I'm consuming. Because after the COVID pandemic situation, it is very, very much important now to highlight these factors, that what we are offering to have our customer. Maybe the customer is a tourist, maybe a customer is just an employee of any organization or a corporate sector person, or maybe the students of the university, or maybe the local domestic tourists. But it all starts from marketing of this, from segmentation of the market, and then from to know about the requirements of the customers, the potential customers, and to serve that with a delight factor which make them feel happy, healthy, and hygiene. So this
Okay.
is my reply to your. I hope it is
Okay, Dr.
justified.
Sarma, I'm sure that Anna already get the
Hope so.
spirit from you how to build his or her own tour programs. Okay, dear all participants, International Gastronomy webinar, thank you for your patience. Once again, I'm sure that so many questions already received and sent it to all the participants, but unfortunately, due limited times, we choose only 5 questions, and that one is the last question. Once again, thank you so much to all the speakers. So this is the end of the session of our webinar today. And thank you all for attending. All right, Mrs. Rina, back to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of today's event, July 14, 2023. We would like to remind our invited guests to fill in the attendance list provided in the chat box. E-certificate will be sent via email. If you haven't received the email, you can contact us on ledasdos@gmail.com. Once again, I'm Arvino Kautsar Ekaputra and Rina Kurniawati. On behalf of the webinar committee, we would like to say thank you for your participation.
As final words, on behalf of Sahid Polytechnic Jakarta, we hope that this pandemic will end soon and we can live safely and peacefully again. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om, Santi, 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 Om.